Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Wool and Twine Fiber Studio Knitting Podcast. My name is Jule, and I'm the dye and maker behind Wool and Twine Fiber Studio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany, where I play with botanical dyes and natural yarns. Welcome back to a new preview episode. I'm so happy that you're here, and thank you so much for watching. Today I want to show to you what I've been preparing yarn-wise over the past couple of weeks, I would say, because there has been a lot going on, and some of you might have seen on Instagram that I've been also traveling quite a bit. So yeah, let's see what I can present to you today, because apart from my travels, I have of course also prepared quite some yarn for you that I am just super excited to show, because some of it is new, some of it is special. In general, I'm very happy with this episode, and I don't know if you can see, but it's a beautiful kind of spring-like day here today, and I'm super happy with, how cozy everything feels here right now. I'm almost too warm to wear a sweater, but this one is a special, so I really wanted to wear it for this episode. But yeah, if you're new here, I just wanted to give you a quick info on what this video is all about. I am a natural yarn dyer, and natural yarn dyer, that sounds weird. I'm a yarn dyer who works with natural, specifically botanical dyes, and I have little collections of yarn that I have roughly once a month, and just so you can see what's going to be available in those collections, I make these preview videos because I feel like it's much easier to show how the colors look in movement and kind of natural light, in comparison to, for example, static product pictures, because those can be a bit misleading sometimes with natural dyes. And yeah, that's why I make these videos where I share with you what I've prepared over the past weeks. For this one, I will be having a couple of bases, but mainly focusing on two, one of them being a cult favorite almost by now, and one of them being a completely new one that I'm super excited to share about. So without further ado, let me give you a bit of an overview about what we'll have available. Okay, for this month's update, I have two bases, one of them being our ovis sock, which is my non-superwash and plastic-free sock yarn that is custom spun to a slightly higher twist in order to be more durable for socks. And the second base that we will be restocking is a completely new one that was also custom spun for us, and I'll give you a bit of a brief introduction later on, but just to give you a little overview, this one is it, and it's called Heirloom. It's gonna be available in 2 weights, and I will tell all its story at a later point in this video. There will be timestamps linked below, just so you can jump to whatever section might be relevant to you. But yeah, this is Heirloom, and it's a very, very, very special yarn that I'm so happy to present to you. And I'm actually wearing it at the moment because I've been using this for my matcha jumper, which is a pattern that's about to come out by my dear friend Ines of That Knit, and I'm gonna share a bit more about this later on, but just so you have a bit of an idea. So yeah, those are the bases we'll have, and then there will also be some kits for a special pattern that's also coming out very soon. So yeah, lots of good things coming to this collection. So I guess without further rambles, let me start sharing some of the colorways with you. Alright, let me start sharing what we'll have available. So I've been teasing you in the intro a little bit about a new base that we'll be carrying for this update that is called Heirloom, and this base has been in the making for, I don't know, the past probably year or so, because I'm currently, as most of you know, I'm only working with mills that, you know, fit my ethical standards and are able to provide me with fleeces and yarns that have been, you know, raised sheepwise sourced and also spun in the ethical under the ethical circumstances that I kind of set for this. So I don't know, a while ago I decided to reach out to the ever so wonderful people of the John Arbon Textiles Mill, just because I love the way they work. I love the way they contribute to the region they are in, using local fibers and sourcing mostly traceable fibers, as well as working with a relatively old machinery at their mill, which I just find very inspiring. And for those of you who've not heard of John Arbon Textiles, they are a mill located in, now I'm really bad with geographical directions, but I think it's southwest England, so in the Exmoor Devon region. And they have, the mill has been founded by John Arbon originally, but ever since he retired a couple of years ago, he passed on the mill work to Sonia and Helena, who are very inspiring women, especially in the mill businesses and, you know, the whole yarn production, wool production world. It's relatively rare to have women in leading positions, which is also what I found extremely inspiring about what they do, and it's one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons I wanted to work with them. And so, yeah, I think it must be quite a while ago that I reached out to them. And ever since then, we've been developing a special yarn that is custom spun for Wool and Twine Fiber Studio. So this is going to be very, very special. It is this one. It has this beautiful naturally gray color. I don't know if we're gonna focus. Oh, here we go. It's this beautiful naturally gray yarn that is made of 100% Exmoor Blueface fibers. And Exmoor Blueface is actually a crossbreed of Blueface Leicester and Exmoor Horn, which is a local breed for the Exmoor Devon area. And I just really like that this has this very, it carries the heritage of this region with the sheep breeds in it. And I think this is very inspiring. And it's also one of the reasons why it's called heirloom. Another reason is that I felt very inspired by the whole story of the old machinery they use at the John Arbon mill, and how the knowledge and also machinery, like both, have been passed on from one generation to another. And, you know, that is kind of essentially what an heirloom is. And I kind of was very inspired by this and wanted to kind of incorporate this story and the vibe that I got from this into the name of this yarn, which is why it's called heirloom. And it's an incredible yarn. It's very fluffy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a very fluffy, not really fluffy, but it has a bit of a halo. And it's spun to a 3-ply, which is not something we often do, and so I'm very excited about this. We often have 2-plies, but for this one, we had a trial run of the 2-ply, and I did like it, but I kind of felt I wanted to add something else to the mix. And when I received the samples for the 3-ply version, I was so happy, because this honestly is the perfect all year round kind of workhorse yarn. It feels squishy and soft, but also has these little halo-y hairs. I don't know if you can see that if I put it like this maybe. It has these little like hairs almost, but they are not irritating at all, at least not to me. I talk about this extensively in all of my podcast episodes, that how you experience a yarn and whether you find it itchy or soft or rustic or sleek, it's a very individual thing, so I can't answer that for you. But for me, this feels very bouncy and soft, and despite the halo, I think it's not, like, it's still very sleek if you knit it up. At least that's what I get from it. So yeah, and speaking of knitting it up, I should maybe show you what I'm wearing a bit more up close, because if you've been watching my other podcast episodes recently, this is the mysterious new yarn that I had to make my matcha jumper with, which is a design that's about to release very, very soon, by my dear friend Ines of Knit. And yeah, I've been wearing this for, I don't know, quite some days, especially when I was traveling to Munich to actually meet Ines, because we had a little photo shoot. More on this later, but I traveled to Munich and the weather was absolutely miserable. It was super cold, and because we spent most of one of the days that I was there outside in the drizzle and rain and cold, I decided to wear this and all day, even though it was still like in the sampling stage, and I wanted to keep it kind of fresh and clean to show to you. But I have a feeling this is holding up so well. Like it's a very, how do you say, like versatile workhorse yarn. I don't see this one wearing off super quickly. I don't know if you can see this, but I feel it's a very, yeah, it has a very strong feeling. And it's not necessarily super rustic still, so I kind of feel it's the best of both worlds. And while I didn't have a particular use case in mind when we were creating this blend, I really like that now this is more of a, you know, really like versatile yarn. I feel like it can be used for so many things. So yeah, this is Heirloom. And this is, by the way, I'm holding up the 4-ply version in here. There is also a DK weight version that I used for the matcha jumper, and it's pretty much the exact same. But you can, I just decided to show all the colorways on the 4-ply version, just so we can make sure that you can see all the colorways, and then, you know, they will also be available in the exact same way in the DK weight version. So yeah, what else can I say? So feel-wise, it's definitely, it has also a nice drape. I don't know if you can see that in the jumper a little bit, but it's drapey but not droopy, if that makes sense. It's not, it does feel like it hugs your body very nicely. It's not stiff or anything, but it still holds its shape super well. At least that's what I get from it. And at the same time, I can imagine that because it's a 3-ply, theoretically, I think this could be very, very nice in cables and texture, because at least from like yarn technology, the more plies, the more round a thread of yarn is, and that would usually result in a more, how do you say, in a more, yeah, round thread that would be easier for texture to pop a little bit. And while I also believe that all our 2-ply bases are great for cables, it depends on what you expect from it. And if you want a bit more of a crisp stitch definition and cable, oftentimes more plies mean that you can achieve that with it. So yeah, this is how Heirloom looks. We're having a little bit of a soft launch of this for this update now, because I decided there will be a launch now, and I also plan on making a whole other intro video later on, because I might be able to visit John Arvin's textiles mill, which is so unreal. But you know, I still, you know, all of the planning kind of was at the same time when I was already dyeing this yarn, and so I thought we could do a little bit of a soft launch now, and then there will be a whole dedicated intro and even more things about this yarn later on, maybe even with a bit of behind the scenes, a dedicated video about that a bit later. But yeah, I think it's so good for like transitional jumpers and projects as well, that I still wanted to launch it this spring, just so you can have your spring projects with it. So yeah, I should maybe share a little bit about its gauge. Because it's relatively fluffy with its halo and such, I think it's a relatively versatile gauge too, with both weights. So the 4-ply version, now I should maybe say, because this is seems to be confusing to some, at least in the a non-English speaking realm is that 4-ply and fingering are used interchangeably, and 4-ply technically is the British English term for fingering weight yarn. So even if I'm referring to a 4-ply yarn, that doesn't mean that it has 4 plies. I know this is kind of confusing, but you know, it is what it is. And since I use mostly British terminology because I'm also working with British mills and all of that, it might make sense, like most sense for me to use this terminology. But just so you know, we have 3 plies technically. So technically this is a fingering weight 3-fold 12, which means that it's made out of 3 singles with a certain diameter. So this is a 3-ply yarn, but I will refer to it as the 4-ply version because it's the fingering weight version. I know this is kind of confusing, but you know, it is what it is. And just so you know. But yeah, this is the fingering weight version, and it's 400 meters per 100 grams, so a relatively standard 4-ply weight. I think it's very, very good for shawls alike. I mean, you can also use it for sweaters and all of that, but I always love a 4-ply weight or fingering weight shawl, so yeah, might also have to share an example with you because we wanted to try how it would work in a shawl, and I thought this time instead of showing a million swatches of the yarn, I'm going to show you some projects so you can kind of see. So I'm definitely going to say the name wrong of this pattern, but it is the What You Want Is in Your Stash Box, I think, by Eri Shimizu. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, Eri, but yeah, she's a Japanese knitwear designer, and this is technically a design meant to be done with any kind of yarn in any kind of weight. And it's more of a like recipe where you can use your skein of yarn, weigh it, and then kind of work one half of the pattern with half of the yarn and then the other half of the pattern with the other half, and end up with a relatively zero waste pattern. So this is a small kind of slimish shawl, oops, sorry, with yeah, a little triangle at the end. So you kind of increase from one side, then you keep knitting until the middle. I don't know if that's even visible here, but yeah, then you change directions and you knit flat, and in the end you decrease for the end of the pattern again. And I think it's just really cute. Like, I think this is such a good spring shawl, or even to wear when you're biking or something like that, under a scarf, like under a collar or something. It's really small, so it's not taking up a whole lot of space, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've been wanting to have a small scarf for these kind of transition times when a big shawl is a bit too much. And so yeah, this is a really sweet version, I'd say. So we used heirloom 4-ply for this and just one skein. So with one skein you can go quite far, and I will also talk more extensively about this in a whole knitting podcast episode, but just wanted to give you a bit of an idea on how it performs knitted up. So this is the undyed colorway, by the way. But yeah, let me not ramble about it too much, because there will be a whole dedicated podcast episode where I share all the recently finished knits. And so I thought this would be a good occasion. But yeah, this is the What You Want Is in Your Stash Box pattern, and I think it's just very fun for any kind of lonely skein that you have lying around. And if you just want to try heirloom and are not sure if you want to commit to a large sweater project yet, this is perfect for that, because you will only need one skein. And yeah, also sometimes I feel like, because I can only dye so limited amounts, we sometimes have just one or like 2 skeins left of base in the shop, and so I thought it's always nice to have a little bit of inspiration on what you can do with just a small amount of a certain yarn. So yeah, that was my idea behind this project. So this is heirloom 4-ply. in the undyed colorway. And I've used, this is my matcha, and as said, I'm gonna have a whole podcast episode where I share all of these knits in depth, but I'll also link the Ravelry projects down below, just so you can reference yarn amounts and everything before I launch, in case you're curious and want to make something similar. So, but let me tell you a little bit about my matcha jumper. So this is a pattern by my friend Ines of That Knit, as I mentioned earlier. And this is just beautiful. I don't know if you've ever used any of Inesh's patterns. They are masterpieces. They are very, very well written, and the test of this was super nice to do. It also features a ton of modification options, so just so everyone could make like a very easy transition jumper for themselves. I think, if I remember correctly, Ines told me that she kind of wanted a sweater that she could wear when it's not that cold anymore, because yeah, overheating can happen quite quickly, especially in the spring when the days get a little bit more warm. But you might still need a jumper because it's getting chilly on the later times of the day. So this was kind of the inspiration behind the pattern, and it's really, really versatile. Like, I can see myself wearing this so much. And yeah, as said, I'm not gonna ramble about it for too long, but let me tell you already, this one works really, really well in heirloom DK. The gauge works perfectly. I used the needle size as stated in the patterns. I think it was a 3.5mm needle. I used everything according to pattern. I went with a bit of an oversized version, as I normally do, and I also added. I made the collar a bit high, but I didn't fold it. So in the original pattern, the collar is folded. It's just a half twisted rib one by one and then folded. But I decided I wanted this, I don't know if you can see, but I wanted this very sleek, kind of almost turtleneck type of fit, and I really just liked it that way. And so yeah, I'm super happy with how it turned out. It wears incredibly well, and I can imagine I'm gonna need a second one of this. The pattern and yarn combo is just wonderful, and I'm super, super happy with it. I'll also make sure to include a couple of pictures of me or like snippets of me wearing this, just so you have an idea of the fit. But overall, knitting this to pattern in, I think, 2 or 3 sizes larger than what I would have needed to do for the intended ease, this is just the perfect fit for me. It's very, very cozy. It has quite some room. I don't know if you can see, but it has quite some room on me, and that is definitely what I was looking for, because especially with these kind of transitional pieces, I like layering a lot. So yeah. Anyhow, I should continue talking about this yarn and not about all of my patterns, because there will be a podcast episode featuring them all. So back to the yarn facts. So the DK weight version is a 333 meters per 100 grams, which is a bit of an odd number, but that is just, it results from, you know, spinning 3 singles together. You kind of have to make, it's a bit mathy in this sense, so I'm not going to go into detail. But I really, really like this yarn weight. I'm super happy. I think it's very versatile, and at the same time, because this yarn is relatively plump and also has a bit of a halo, it's quite nice because it fills in the gaps very beautifully if you knit it on a bit more of an open gauge, like we did with this shawl. I don't know if you can see, but it's like more drapey and more open. But it's definitely not see-through or anything. So with this one, we went with a bit more of a tighter gauge, and this one is a bit more of a looser gauge, and both worked incredibly well because, yeah, the halo kind of fills in any kind of gaps, which is also why I think this would be very suitable for color work. But yeah, just a thought so far. Haven't tried that yet. But yeah, that is very lovely. So we have the 400 meters per 100 gram fingering weight and the 333 meters per 100 gram DK weight. But I think I would probably say the DK weight is ideal at like 21 to 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. So a very true DK weight yarn, I would say. For the 4-ply, I think there is quite a wide variety depending on what you want to do. I don't remember the gauge of this shawl on top of my head, but I think it might have been something like a 24 stitches. I'm going to put the number up here for sure, so it will be correct. But yeah, I just wanted to say that it's very versatile, and if you're unsure about something and you want to, you know, check for a pattern, feel free to reach out to me and I'll gladly double check if I think it's going to work out or not. With that being said, as always, we of course have a whole list of pattern suggestions in a little Ravelry bundle that you can check out in case you want to see some recommendations. I always like to do these because, you know, I have been playing with this yarn for a bit and you might be new to it, and it's always helpful to maybe have a little bit of a guideline on what you can do with this. So yeah, that's what I tried to do. I tried to provide you with a bit of help. So in that bundle you will find some suggestions that you can use for heirloom in the 4-ply and DK weight version. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at hello@woolandtwine.com. This is always the easiest way to reach me, and I'll gladly answer some more questions about this new yarn, because I always know it's quite difficult to imagine how it looks and feels to you. But yeah, I can definitely say that it's very, very special, and I'm super, super happy with it. Lastly, I should maybe tell a little bit more of its origin story, because I think this is also what makes it so special. Not only its feel and its usability and its wide range of use cases you can have this for, but as I said, it's been spun in collaboration with the awesome people over at John Arbon Textiles. Definitely check them out if you haven't yet. They also have a podcast kind of vlog type here on YouTube that I'm going to link down below. It's super interesting and you can get a lot of insights on their work, which I find super inspiring. And also the fleeces for this yarn, the Exmoor Blueface fleeces, have been sourced within a super small area all around the mill. It's very locally sourced. It can all be traced back to the farm completely. So we know exactly what fleeces come from which farm, which is also very special to me, because if you've been following me for a while, I always try to find the most sustainable and ethical options for my knitting community that I can. And this is like having a fully traceable fleece supply for this yarn is just you know, one step further from, you know, everything. And I'm just very, very inspired by this option, and I can't wait to explore what we can do more, because yeah, working with this mill has been such a joy. I'm super, super happy that they wanted to work with me, and yeah, this is kind of a dream collab come true, and I really, really hope that we can have more respins of this yarn in the future, because it's just, yeah, I've already grown into loving this one so, so much, because it's just, I love whenever there's a very specific yarn with a very specific use case, but this one is just so versatile, and I don't know, I have a feeling I can do anything with it. Does that make sense? But yeah, a little summary. So, heirloom is available in a fingering weight and a DK weight version. It's 100% Exmoor Blueface fibers in different shades blended together to this beautiful grey. All of the fleeces that we use are completely traceable back to farm and have been sourced within a super small range around the mill. So we limited transportation as much as we could. And yeah, it resulted in this beautiful 3-ply, like 3 plies yarn that I couldn't love more. It's just very beautiful. And inspiring. I don't know, I want to knit all of the projects in it. So I guess I have rambled enough about this. Let me know if you have any further questions. And until then, I will just jump into showing you what I dyed on this new base. So for the colorways, as mentioned, I'm going to show them all on the fingering weight 4-ply version of Heirloom, and then we are going to have them on both weights. In general, I would say this yarn takes dye incredibly beautiful in a very nice way, and it has a grey undertone. As you can see, this is the natural undyed shade, and this grey undertone really has a very heathered effect. It's not very uniform, and that makes all the colorways appear very lively, I would say, on this new base. So yeah, I'm super happy with how they all turned out. We have quite a few here, and yeah, I guess without further ado, I'm gonna start introducing them to you. The first one I want to show to you is this one, and this one is called Soft Rose, and it's like a very, as the name suggests, a very soft, light, rosy beige that I think is just incredibly versatile and just, yeah, very easy to use in a lot of different projects. So this is Soft Rose. I hope it's visible. I cannot move it too far to the camera because we have a little bit of sun falling into the studio, which is beautiful, but you know. So yeah, this is Soft Rose. Next up, we have another very light, beautiful colorway. I tried to do a couple more like spring-inspired colorways on this for this launch. So this one is Moonstone, and you might have seen this on other bases before, but it's a very light purplish kind of shade, and I wanted to show it next to the undyed gray because sometimes these very light shades, they might appear as if there's almost no color on them, but there is. There is, and it's a very soft wash of a purple. So yeah, this is the undyed Heirloom, and this is the Moonstone colorway. Next up we have Peony, and this is a bit more of a saturated rosy tone, and I think it's super beautiful. Also very spring-like, I feel. I should maybe show it next to Soft Rose just so you can see. It's quite a bit more saturated than Soft Rose. So here we go. Next up we have kind of an old classic. This is Sand, and it's relatively neutral warm beige. And I often include this in my collections just because I think it's very versatile to combine with other shades, such as like for color work or something. And sometimes, at least for me, undyed grays can be a bit too coolish for some color combos, and that's why I always try to give this other neutral added to the mix and have, you know, some other options in case you wanted to make a color work sweater. So that's that. Next up we have a couple of, let me put those together because I think it's a little bit easier this way. So this one is Fawn, and it's a very pretty light orangey rust, but almost like a desaturated one. Next up we have Maroon, and this one is almost like, this is also maroon technically, but every dye batch turns out a little bit different with natural dyes, and so this one has turned out a little bit more, I would say, reddish. But yeah, this is Maroon, and it's like a reddish undertoned brown, if that makes sense. Here it is next to Fawn, by the way, just so you have a bit of a reference. Next up we have pumpkin, and this one is very interesting because on other bases I feel it turns out a lot more yellow in undertone, whereas for this base it kind of turned out more like brick red, if that makes sense. Anyhow, I definitely really like how it turned out, and I kind of want to I kind of want to have a sweater in this one myself, so yeah, very happy with how it turned out for sure. So far about the rusts. Let me transition a bit more into the brownie shades. So for this batch we have Hickory, and this is like a relatively neutral brown with almost like a brassy undertone, if that makes sense. It's not like a green undertone, but so definitely not as red as it sometimes picks up on camera, so I would say it's a bit more neutral. Always trying to show it in some different angles. And then we also have chocolate, and this one is like a darker brown, very dark chocolatey type of brown. Love this one. Kind of was very tempted to keep some skeins for myself, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, but really loving this one. It's a very elegant brown, I'd say. So this one is chocolate. And I should maybe hold them up with the reddish shades just so you can have a bit of an overview. So here we go. Left to right. No, what direction? Well, we'll start over here where my little finger is peeping through. So we have fawn, maroon, pumpkin, hickory, and then chocolate. So those are all the brownie shades. I know we always have a lot of those, but that's mainly also because I just love browns. So but yeah, I think we're down to the last couple of colorways. This one is Golden Hour, and it's like a brassy, mustardy yellow. I think it shows better back here. It's a bit more greenish in real life, I would say, than it is on camera sometimes. But yeah, really liking this shade for sure. Next up, we have a nice spring shade called Dahlia, and this is like a pinkish, undertoned, well, it's a pink kind of, but a muted, very muted pink. Muted coral, I would say. So yeah, this one is called Dahlia. And then we also have Berry Jam, which is a little more coolish on this base. I feel like with this colorway, I dyed this a couple of times, and of course every batch turns out different anyways, but I feel like some bases have more of a tendency towards a certain direction. And on this one it turned out more purpley, but it's still a beautiful berry shade, I think. So yeah, this is Berry Jam. Next up we have, I don't know, kind of an old favorite, I would say, and this one is Oxalis. It's like a deep, dark mulberry shade of Bordeaux, kind of, but a very muted one, and especially on this base, I think it's not as punchy as on some others. I don't know, this base kind of gives a very elegant, muted tone to everything, which I really like, so yeah, here we go, this Oxalis. And last but not least, of course, I also had to include a shade called Matcha, because I was, you know, traveling with my matcha jumper and visiting my friend, and so I kind of wanted to dedicate a colorway to this trip and to this experience, and this is the matcha, this is the matcha colorway. It's like a relatively saturated green that I just really like, so yeah, this is the matcha colorway, and I think it's very nice. And I can really imagine a matcha in matcha. So yeah, that's that. Okay, I think we're done with the colorways on Heirloom, and I'm just so happy. I'm so excited to hear what you think about this new base. I definitely really like it, and I guess without wasting even more of your time, I'm going to get to the part where I talk about the next base. So for the next base, we are working with our ovis sock, which is, yeah, as mentioned, our plastic-free and non-superwash sock yarn that we've been having for a while. I think it was initially launched back in 2023. I think summer 2023 was when we first launched this. And it's a completely natural woolen sock yarn with a 375 meters per 100 grams, spun to a slightly higher twist so it would withstand wear with for socks. And so these are the two undyed shades that we will have available. So this one is the undyed gray and this is the undyed ecru. So yeah, these are the two undyed shades of ovis that we are going to restock. And then next up, I'm going to share some colorways with you. So we only have a couple this time because there might be a little bit of a special later on. For individual colorways, I want to start with almond. So this is like a warm, nicely undertoned beige that I think works really well for colorwork socks. It's similar to our sand colorway, maybe a touch warmer. But I think it would also work very well for the ever so well-loved tupa socks of Ronja Hakalehto that I still get questions if I would restock the colorways for. So you could definitely use this interchangeably with sand, I believe, without having a very different result. So yeah. Speaking of the tupa socks, we also am going to restock Dahlia, which is the base colorway of this pattern. It's a beautiful muted corally pink, again, as it is also I showed you on Heirloom before. So this is the Dahlia colorway. And then we're not going to restock our Auburn colorway because, yeah, we can't restock it every time, but I think you could also use this one, which is kind of a new colorway called Eggplant, and it's a really dark, super dark brown with a bit of a purple undertone, reminding me of the shell of an eggplant, so that's why I called it this way. So yeah, so these are the three colors I think you could use for a pair of tupa socks if you wanted to make them. I know they have been very requested and I still get questions about the restocking the colorways, so I think this would be a great combo for those. But without further ado, let me also share some more colorways. So this one is Oxalis, and it's a beautiful, as we also had it on the Heirloom base, it's a nice burgundy kind of deep red purple type, if that makes sense. So yeah. Next up we have Amethyst, and this is a bluish undertoned purple that I think is very nice for spring, I guess. So this is Amethyst. Would also go really well. Would also go really well with Oxalis, I think. Oops, sorry. Next up we have Soft Rose, which we also had on Heirloom. It's like a very nice light rosy tone, but with a bit of a beige, so it's not a true pink, but it has more of a beige, I would say. Yeah. Next up we have Eucalyptus, which is a grayish undertoned soft green. It appears a bit more grayish on camera, but I think back here it's a bit more true to color. Always difficult to show natural colors on screens. Not the easiest to do. The next one is this one, and this is maroon. You can see that it's quite close to the maroon of my sweater, actually. But yeah, this time on ovis sock. I really like how warm and glowy this is. I don't know, kind of glows from within almost. This colorway is very special, I think. I kind of want to make a pair of socks for myself with this colorway. But yeah, I think that is it for the single colors. So now let me jump to the last section where I show you the little ovis sock special that we prepared for this month. All right, so as you might have seen if you watched my podcast episodes, I've been working on a pair of socks as a test knit for the designer Marie-Eve Wedge, who is in her skein on Instagram, and she makes those very beautiful floral sock designs. And when I saw this one, I kind of had to make one. And after all, I even made like 2 versions. So these are the Linaria socks by Marie-Eve Wedge, or in her skein. Oops, am I blowing out? No. And they feature this very beautiful Estonian inlay technique. I don't know if you can see, but the floral motif is done. Oh, sorry for the lighting issues today. It's very sunny, but yeah, she's using this very beautiful Estonian inlay technique that is basically working kind of color work floats on the outside of your knitting, which is kind of a cool concept, I think. And by that you create this very beautiful floral motif that travels along the foot. And I think it's quite a unique placement, because most of the time I feel textures placed on top of the foot. And I think this is quite unique and a different approach that, I don't know, I just really like. So these are the Linaria socks, and they are actually releasing on the 28th, kind of with our shop update, which is quite cool. And we also decided, like Marie-Eve and I, we decided to get together and make a little kit option for these. So this is one color option. We made like 2 versions, one with the pink as the main and the brown as a contrast, and then, you know, switched it around. So this is, you know, this is one color version, and we will have a yarn kit for this. Let me show you. So this is the yarn kit for the original version, and I prepared 2 more color versions in case you wanted to make something else. So this is the first version. So this is the Linaria sock kit number 1, this original version. Then we have the Linaria sock kit number 2, which is more rust orange. Almost reminds me of like sulfur cosmos flowers in the summer version. So this is the more like apricot orange version. And last but not least, we have this berry tone version. This is the Linaria sock kit number 3. And this is more like spring, like reminds me of, how are they called? Snowdrops? No. Crocus, maybe? So yeah. Or like hyacinths. It reminds me of hyacinths. That's what I wanted to say. So this is the Linaria sock kit number 3. So number 2, number 3, and then the number 1, which is the original color combo that I used for my Linaria sock versions. Each of these kits will come with a corresponding progress keeper, and I'll try to insert some close-up footage of how they are going to play together, because I thought that might be easier for you to see. But yeah, those will be handmade by me, featuring some dried flowers, like real dried flowers, and I thought that would just match the theme of the Linaria socks so well. So yeah, each of these kits will come with 2 full skeins of ovis sock in the colorways that I just showed, and 1 little progress keeper that you can use to make your knitting process of these very fun socks even more fun. So, whoops, here we go. These are all the kits, and yeah, I just really hope that you will love the stitch markers or the progress keepers as much as I do. I love to use beautiful notions for my knitting. I don't know how that's with you, but I just really enjoy the process more if I have beautiful notions to use. So yeah, it's just very fun for me to do. So these kits will be 200 grams of ovis sock each, tied together with a little linen ribbon and including one of the little progress keepers. It will not include the pattern. However, you will receive a 20% discount on the pattern that I will send to you with your kit. So you will have a little downloads, like there will be a little card in the box with a QR code and a little discount code below that is all exclusive for the kit's customers. So if you purchase the kit, you will also receive a 20% discount for the pattern, but the pattern will have to be purchased individually, so it's not included in the kit price. So just so you know. But yeah, I guess that is it for today's episode. The linaria, oh sorry, I should maybe mention the linaria socks will also be available as an individual pattern, so you don't need to buy the kits in order to make these. They will be available from Marie-Eve's Ravelry on the 28th as well. And I'll also include them in my newsletter, so you will get a little reminder as soon as these go live. But yeah, I guess that is it for today's episode. I should wrap everything up with a little bit of admin and info in the last section. So for this last section, before I wrap up this episode, I wanted to mention when all of this that I just showed will be available. So the launch for this month will be on the 28th of March at 8 p.m. CET. Please be aware that we are, I don't know, in some areas of the world, we are putting back the time this year, or this weekend. So just so you are aware of it, there's always, some confusion about time zones, but it will be at the 28th of March, 8 p.m. CET, and there are some aids where you can kind of figure out what time zone or what time that is for you. I will link a little page down below that's called World Time Buddy. I'm not sponsored or anything, but I use these a lot whenever I get a question from an overseas customer, for example, about the time zones and what time the shop update will be for them. So that definitely helps. And as always, since we always make very limited amounts of everything, I recommend being on time for the shop update if you're eyeing some of these things. And yeah, other than that, if you have a question, feel free to email me at hello@woolandtwine.com. It's always the best way to reach me because Instagram DMs can be quite hard for me to manage in busy shop update weeks. So yeah, you can always email me. And one last thing, I will be away for a while in April. So there will be a shipping break from the 2nd of April to the 17th of April. So after that, shipping will resume on the 18th of April, but we will have around 2 weeks of a shipping break because there will be no one at the studio fulfilling orders. So if you want to order from this collection and have it shipped before I'm going to be traveling, please place your order until at least the 1st of April. This is not an April Fool's, by the way. 1st of April, 11 a.m. because then I can still make sure to ship out your order in time. And then, as said, shipping will be on hold from the 2nd to the 17th. I will have the shop open as always, so there will be opportunities to shop. And I will also try to monitor my emails while I'm away. Yeah, in general, I just can't fulfill orders, just so you know that if you want to have your order shipped before I'm away, please order until April 1st. So I'm also definitely going to send another reminder via email. So signing up for the newsletter is always a very good thing. So you keep in the loop about everything. You stay in the loop. I'm sorry. Words are not really coming to me today. So But I guess that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around while I was rambling about colorways and all these kind of things. And I guess I'm going to see you in the next episode. And until then, happy knitting. Bye!